The space around the massive Galactic Council station sparkled with the lights of 100 different alien ships. Among them, the small human vessel named HSS Defender looked plain and simple. It was humanity's first time at the grand meeting of space civilizations, and everyone on board felt both excited and nervous. Ambassador Frank Miller adjusted his formal uniform one last time before the shuttle doors opened. He had practiced this moment for months. First contact with the Galactic Council would shape humanity's future among the stars. "Ready, Ambassador?" asked Commander Susan Wright, standing tall beside him. Frank nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." The shuttle door slid open, revealing a huge hall filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some had scales, others fur, and a few seemed to float rather than walk. Bright lights shone down on a central platform where representatives from each world would speak. "Breathe," Susan whispered. "They're just people, even if they look different." Frank stepped forward, and the crowd of aliens turned to look at the humans. Many seemed curious, some friendly, but a few watched with cold eyes. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms approached them. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Counselor Jexra. We have been waiting to meet your kind officially." The translator in Frank's ear worked perfectly, making the aliens' strange clicks and whistles sound like clear English. "Thank you for the welcome," Frank replied with a small bow. "Earth is honored to join this gathering of worlds." As they walked through the crowd, Susan noticed a group of red-scaled aliens watching them. Unlike the others, these aliens had sharp teeth showing and heavy armor covering their bodies. Their yellow eyes followed the humans with what looked like anger. "Who are they?" Susan asked Jexra quietly. "Vraxians," the blue alien replied, lowering his voice. "They joined the council only 50 cycles ago. They are not always friendly to new species." Before Susan could ask more, a gentle hand touched her arm. She turned to see a slender alien with pale, almost glowing skin and large purple eyes. "I am Kayla, of the Elydian people," the alien said in a musical voice. "We wish to especially welcome humans. Our scientists have studied your world signals for many years. Your music is very beautiful." Frank smiled warmly. "Thank you, Kayla. We would love to learn about Elydian culture as well." The grand meeting began shortly after. One by one, representatives from different worlds spoke about trade, shared space, and new discoveries. When it was Earth's turn, Frank stepped up to the platform. "People of the galaxy," he began, "humanity comes in peace and friendship. We are young among the stars, but eager to learn and share. Earth offers its art, music, and unique perspective in exchange for knowledge and cooperation." Most aliens seemed pleased with his words, but the Vraxians made loud hissing sounds that the translator couldn't catch. The meeting continued for hours. By the end, Frank had spoken with representatives from 20 different worlds. The Elydians were particularly friendly, showing special interest in human culture. Kayla explained that her people were peaceful scientists and artists who had been space travelers for thousands of years. "We do not build weapons," she told Frank. "Our ships are for exploration and learning only." "That's admirable," Frank replied, "though I wonder how you protect yourselves." "The Council provides protection to all members," Kayla said, "and most species respect our ancient knowledge." As the first day of meetings ended, Commander Susan returned to the Defender to check on her crew. She found her security officer, Lieutenant Greg Barnes, looking worried. "Commander, you need to see this," Greg said, showing her a screen. "We've been scanning as ordered, and the Vraxian ships are putting out strange energy readings. They're powering weapons while docked." Susan frowned. "That's against Council rules. Are you certain?" "Yes, ma'am. And they've been sending coded transmissions to somewhere outside the system." Susan didn't like this at all. She decided to tell Frank right away, but before she could reach him, alarms blared throughout the station. The station's voice system spoke in multiple languages. "Alert. Unauthorized weapons discharge. All representatives to safe zones immediately." Susan ran toward the diplomatic quarters, pushing through confused aliens. When she reached the main hall, she saw chaos. The Vraxians had drawn weapons, and were surrounding the council leaders. The largest Vraxian, wearing elaborate armor with skull-like decorations, stepped forward. "The time for talk is over," he announced. "I am War Commander Dravzok of the Vraxian Empire. Your weak council has kept the strong from their rightful place for too long." Susan found Frank helping Kayla, who looked terrified. "What's happening?" Frank asked. "A coup," Susan said. "They're trying to take over the council by force." Dravzok continued. "From this day, strong species will rule. Weak ones will serve or die. The Vraxian Empire claims leadership of this galaxy." Council security forces rushed in, but Vraxian ships outside the station had already opened fire. The whole structure shook. "This was planned all along," Kala whispered, her voice shaking. "They're attacking my homeworld too. I just received an emergency signal." Frank looked at her in shock. "Your homeworld? How do you know?" "Because the Elydian system has the largest library of ancient knowledge in the galaxy," she explained. "They want our technology but not our people." Susan's communicator buzzed. It was Captain Ben Harris from the Defender. "Commander, we're seeing attacks across multiple systems," he reported. "The Vraxians have a whole fleet that was hiding. They're hitting peaceful worlds that can't defend themselves." Frank's face hardened with determination. "We need to help." Kayla looked at him with surprise. "How? Your ship is tiny, and your weapons are—" "Forgive me, but they are primitive by galactic standards." "Maybe so," Frank said. "But humans don't." "Abandon friends. Captain Harris, prepare to evacuate as many council members as we can, then set course for the Elydian system." Susan looked at Frank with concern. "Ambassador, Earth would be risking war with a clearly advanced enemy." "They attacked first," Frank replied, "and they're targeting innocent worlds. Earth stands for something better than that." As they hurried toward an escape shuttle, Dravzok spotted them. "The humans," he snarled. "Stop them." Several Vraxian soldiers turned their weapons toward Frank and Susan. Greg Barnes and two other human security officers stepped forward, firing their pistols. The simple bullets surprised the Vraxians, who had expected energy weapons. "Go," Greg shouted as they provided cover. In the chaos that followed, Frank, Susan, and Kala made it to a shuttle, along with several other alien representatives. As they pulled away from the station, they could see Vraxian warships appearing from hyperspace. "My people are peaceful," Kayla said, tears falling from her purple eyes. "We have no warships, no defenses against this." Frank put a hand on her shoulder. "Then Earth will help you. It won't be easy, but humans are good at finding ways to win even when the odds look bad." As their shuttle approached the Defender, Susan looked at the stars and wondered if humanity had just made a terrible mistake. Earth had only a few ships, none designed for real war. How could they stand against an empire that had been conquering worlds for decades? But when she saw the determination in Frank's eyes, she felt a spark of hope. Humans had always been good at surprising those who underestimated them. "Set course for Earth," she ordered as they boarded. "We need to prepare." 6 months had passed since the Vraxian attack on the Galactic Council. In that time, the news from space had grown worse with each report. The Vraxians had taken over 12 peaceful worlds and killed millions of people. The Elydian homeworld was now under Vraxian control, with most of its people forced to work as slaves. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, Captain Alan Howard walked through a set of heavy steel doors. His footsteps echoed in the large underground space as he approached the heart of humanity's secret project. The room was filled with engineers, scientists, and military personnel working around the clock. "Captain on deck," someone called, and everyone stood at attention. "At ease," Alan said. "Where is Dr. Martinez?" A woman with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun looked up from a computer screen. "Over here, Captain." Dr. Olivia Martinez was Earth's most brilliant engineer. For the past 6 months, she had rarely left this underground facility. Dark circles showed under her eyes, but her smile was bright as she waved Alan over. "We're ready," she said. "The final tests were completed last night." Alan looked at the huge screen on the wall. It showed a massive ship unlike anything humans had built before. Its dark metal hull was shaped like an arrow, built for both speed and power. The HSS Retribution, Olivia said proudly. Earth's answer to the Vraxian threat. Alan nodded. Will it work? It's not just that it will work, Olivia replied. It's that it will work in ways the Vraxians can't possibly expect. She pulled up detailed plans on her screen. Every alien race we've met uses energy shields and plasma weapons. They think our technology is primitive because we still use physical materials for armor and kinetic weapons that fire solid projectiles. And that's our advantage, Alan said, understanding her point. Exactly. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not physical ones. Our railguns will punch right through their defenses. And our armor is a new composite that can absorb and disperse plasma hits. General Laura Bennett joined them, her face serious as always. The President has approved the mission, she said. We're sending the Retribution to Elydian space. Officially, this ship doesn't exist and this mission isn't happening. Alan wasn't surprised. Earth was not ready for open war with the Vraxian Empire, but they couldn't stand by and do nothing while innocent worlds suffered. When do we leave? He asked. 2 days, General Bennett replied. We've put together a crew of 150 volunteers, the best we have. In another part of the facility, Lieutenant Eric Powell sat at a communication station. He had been working for months to maintain contact with the alien resistance. The signal was weak, but he could hear Kayla's voice through the static. The labor camps grow larger each day, she was saying. My people are dying, Lieutenant. The Galactic Council fleet tried to help us, but the Vraxians destroyed half their ships in the first battle. We're coming, Kayla, Eric promised. Just hold on a little longer. The Vraxians say humans have abandoned us. Kayla's voice wavered. Some are starting to believe it. They're wrong, Eric said firmly. We've been building something that will change everything. After ending the transmission, Eric joined the others in the main control room. Dr. Martinez was showing Captain Howard and General Bennett the ship's special features. The stealth system is like nothing any alien race has, she explained. We can approach completely undetected until we choose to reveal ourselves. Alan studied the weapon systems. The main railgun could fire a projectile at speeds that would tear through any known ship. The missile bays held special warheads designed to disrupt Vraxian systems. And the crew quarters? He asked. Basic but functional, Olivia answered. This isn't a luxury liner, Captain. It's a warship. The next 2 days passed quickly as final preparations were made. Crew members said goodbye to their families, knowing they might never return. Each person on board was a volunteer who understood the danger. On the morning of launch day, Captain Howard walked through the ship, checking each station. He found Tactical Officer John Nichols running final tests on the weapon systems. Will they work? Alan asked. John nodded. Better than anything the aliens have seen. They think we're hundreds of years behind them technologically. They're about to learn how wrong they are. In the navigation center, Samantha Green was reviewing the course to Elydian space. The journey will take 3 weeks using our new drive, she told Alan. We'll need to make 2 stops along the way to cool the engines. Do we have updated intelligence on Vraxian positions? Alan asked. Lieutenant Powell received a data package from Kayla yesterday, Samantha replied. It shows their main fleet positions, but the information is already 5 days old. Finally, Alan reached the engine room where Dr. Martinez was making last-minute adjustments. You're coming with us? He asked, surprised to see her packing tools. Someone needs to keep this experimental drive running, she said with a smile. And I want to see the looks on their faces when our primitive ship tears apart their fleet. At noon, the massive underground doors opened above the ship. The HSS Retribution rose slowly into the sunlight for the first time. Its dark hull absorbed the light, making it seem like a shadow against the blue sky. General Bennett's voice came through the communication system. Captain Howard, you are cleared for departure. Your mission is to reach Elydian space. Assess the situation and engage Vraxian forces at your discretion. The fate of Earth's first allies rests with you. Understood, General, Alan replied. We won't let them down. As the ship climbed higher, the crew felt the weight of their mission. They were heading into a war against an enemy with more ships, more weapons and years more experience in space battle, but they also had something the Vraxians didn't understand: human determination and the element of surprise. The Retribution reached orbit, and Captain Howard gave the order: set course for Elydian space, maximum speed. The experimental drive hummed to life, creating a bubble of distorted space around the ship. Stars stretched into lines of light, and Earth vanished behind them as they jumped to speeds no human vessel had ever achieved before. 2 days into their journey, alarms blared through the ship. Lieutenant Powell rushed to the bridge. "Captain, we've picked up a distress signal. A refugee fleet is under attack by Vraxian hunters." Alan studied the tactical display. The refugees were still 3 light minutes away, but sensors showed 5 Vraxian attack ships firing on unarmed transports. "We're supposed to maintain stealth until we reach the main battlefront," John Nichols reminded him. Alan thought for a moment, then straightened his uniform. "Those people need help now. Prepare weapons and drop out of stealth mode. Let's show the Vraxians what humans can do." The 5 Vraxian ships circled the refugee vessels like hungry wolves. Their weapons tore into the unarmed transports, causing explosions and sending debris floating through space. Inside the largest refugee ship, families huddled together in fear as the walls shook around them. On the bridge of the HSS Retribution, Captain Alan Howard gave his orders calmly. "Bring us out of stealth mode. Target the lead Vraxian vessel." Tactical Officer John Nichols' fingers moved quickly over his control panel. "Weapons hot, Captain. Main railgun charged and ready." "Broadcast on all frequencies," Alan ordered. "Let's make sure they know who's here." Communications Officer Patricia Lee nodded. "Channel open, sir." Alan took a deep breath. "Attention Vraxian vessels. This is Captain Alan Howard of the human system ship Retribution. You are attacking unarmed civilians. Cease fire immediately or face consequences." On the main screen, they could see one of the Vraxian ships turning toward them. A harsh voice responded, filled with contempt. "Human vessel, this is none of your concern. These refugees harbor criminals against the Empire. Leave now, or be destroyed." Alan looked at John. "Target their weapon systems only. Show them what we can do." John smiled slightly. "Targeting, sir. Firing main railgun." The Retribution shuddered as the massive weapon fired. A solid projectile, accelerated to incredible speed, crossed the space between the ships in seconds. It struck the Vraxian vessel precisely where its main gun was mounted. The alien ship's shields flickered uselessly as the projectile tore through them and ripped the weapon clean off the hull. "Direct hit," John reported. "Their primary weapon is disabled." The Vraxian commander's voice came through again, now with surprise. "What weapon is this? How did you penetrate our shields?" Alan ignored the question. "That was a warning. Stand down your weapons and withdraw, or the next shot goes through your engine core." The remaining Vraxian ships turned away from the refugees and moved to surround the Retribution. "All 4 ships are targeting us," Samantha Green reported from the navigation station. "They're trying to box us in." Alan remained calm. "Activate point defense systems. Ready missile bays 1 through 4. Dr. Martinez, how's our power looking?" From engineering, Olivia's voice came through clearly. "We're at 98%, Captain. The new generators are performing better than expected." "Good," Alan replied. "Because we're about to put them to the test." The Vraxian ships opened fire simultaneously. Streams of bright plasma shot toward the human vessel from 4 directions. The bridge crew held their breath as the energy weapons struck. The ship rocked slightly but remained stable. "Damage report?" Alan asked. "Minimal, sir," reported the damage control officer. "Our armor is absorbing and dispersing the plasma energy just as Dr. Martinez predicted. We can take this all day." Alan nodded. "Now it's our turn. Target their engines. Fire missiles." 4 missiles launched from the Retribution, each heading toward a different Vraxian ship. The alien vessels tried to shoot them down, but the missiles moved with unexpected agility, dodging the defensive fire. "Impact in 3, 2, 1, John counted down. All 4 missiles struck their targets precisely, Rather than exploding, they attached to the hulls and released a powerful electromagnetic pulse. The Vraxian ship's lights flickered and went dark as their systems shut down. "All enemy vessels disabled, sir," John reported with satisfaction. "Open a channel to the refugee ships," Alan ordered. Patricia worked her controls. "Channel open, Captain." "Refugee vessels, this is Captain Howard of the Earthship Retribution. The Vraxian threat has been neutralized. Do you require assistance?" After a moment of silence, a surprised voice responded. "Human vessel, this is Transport Leader Zari. We thought we were going to die. Thank you." "Where are you headed?" Alan asked. "We were trying to reach the Proxima outpost," Zari replied. "It's one of the few safe havens left since the Vraxians began their attacks." Alan looked at Samantha. "Is that on our route?" "It's a small detour, sir," she confirmed. "Maybe half a day's journey." Alan nodded. "We'll escort you there. Stay close." "To our position." As the Retribution moved alongside the damaged refugee ships, Dr. Martinez joined Alan on the bridge. "That was impressive," she said quietly. 4 Vraxian warships disabled without a single casualty on either side. "This was just a small patrol," Alan reminded her. "The main Vraxian fleet will be much more challenging." "But word will spread," Olivia pointed out. "These refugees will tell others what they saw today. Hope is a powerful thing." Later, as the human ship and refugee fleet traveled together, Lieutenant Eric Powell approached the captain with news. "Sir, I've made contact with one of the refugees. She has important information about Vraxian fleet movements." The refugee was a slender alien with 4 arms and silvery skin. She introduced herself as Zari, the transport leader who had spoken to them earlier. "My people were scientists on the Elydian homeworld," Zari explained. "I managed to download military data before we escaped. The Vraxians are planning a final assault on the last Elydian resistance pocket. They're gathering their largest fleet near the Solara system." Eric looked at Captain Howard. "Sir, that's where Kayla and the other resistance leaders are hiding." "How long do they have?" Alan asked. 3 days at most," Zari replied. "Once that resistance falls, there will be nothing standing between the Vraxian Empire and full control of this sector." Alan's face hardened with determination. "We need to get there before that happens." He turned to Samantha. "After we drop off these refugees, plot the fastest course to the Solara system." "That's pushing our engines to their limits," Dr. Martinez warned. "We'll be running hot the whole way." "Can we make it?" Alan asked her directly. Olivia thought. For a moment, then nodded. "Yes, but we'll arrive with minimal power reserves. We'll need time to recharge before engaging in a major battle." "Time is something the Elydians don't have," Alan said. "We'll make it work." After escorting the refugees to safety at the Proxima outpost, the Retribution prepared for its next jump. News of the human ship that had defeated Vraxian hunters spread quickly through the station. Aliens of various species came to see the vessel that had accomplished what many thought impossible. As they prepared to depart, Captain Howard received a message from the Galactic Council. It was brief but clear. "Human vessel, the Council acknowledges your assistance to refugees in Sector 7. Be advised that the main Vraxian battle fleet consists of over 200 warships. Your single vessel cannot hope to prevail. Retreat is advised." John Nichols read the message and snorted. "They still don't get it, do they?" "They've never seen humans fight when the odds are against us," Alan replied. He addressed his crew over the ship's communication system. "All hands, this is the captain. We are about to undertake the most challenging part of our mission. In 3 days we will face the main Vraxian fleet. They outnumber us 200 to 1. They believe this makes victory impossible for us." He paused. "They're wrong. Prepare for battle stations. We jump in 5 minutes." As the Retribution disappeared into faster-than-light travel, stories of the mysterious human warship continued to spread through resistance networks. For the first time since the war began, those fighting against the Vraxian Empire dared to hope. The battlefield that would decide the fate of the Elydian people awaited, and humanity's warship was racing to meet it. The Solara system burned with the light of battle. 200 Vraxian warships surrounded the small moon where the last Illydian resistance fighters had taken shelter. Plasma fire lit up space as the Vraxian ships bombarded the moon's surface. Their fleet formed a tight circle, leaving no path for escape. Admiral Vrex stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the attack with cold satisfaction. His scaled face showed no emotion as reports of the bombardment came in. The resistance would fall within hours, and his victory would be complete. "Admiral," one of his officers called out, "our long-range sensors are detecting an unknown vessel, approaching at high speed." Vrex turned with mild interest. "Identify." The officer looked confused. "It appears to be human, sir." "Human?" Vrex's yellow eyes narrowed. "A single human ship?" He laughed, a harsh sound that made his officers flinch. "Let them come. They will witness the fall of their allies before we destroy them too." Inside the moon base, Kala and the remaining Illydian leaders watched their sensors with growing despair. Their shields were failing. Soon the Vraxian forces would land and take them prisoner, or worse. "The outer defenses have fallen," an Illydian technician reported. "We have perhaps 1 hour before total shield failure." Kyla looked at the tired faces around her. They had fought bravely, but there was nowhere left to run. "Send one final message to all resistance cells," she said softly. "Tell them to go into hiding. The fight will continue even if we fall today." As she turned back to the view screen, a new alert sounded. "Unknown ship dropping out of faster-than-light travel," the technician announced, surprise in his voice. It's broadcasting on human frequencies." Kayla's heart jumped with sudden hope. "Show me." On the bridge of the HSS Retribution, Captain Alan Howard stood calmly as his ship prepared to enter the battle. The crew worked with focused precision, each person knowing exactly what to do. "Exit from FTL in 3, 2, 1, Samantha called. "Out." The ship shuddered slightly as it returned to normal space. Directly ahead of them, the massive Vraxian fleet surrounded the small moon. "Status report," Alan ordered. "All systems operational," Dr. Martinez reported from engineering. "Power levels at 87%. "Weapons hot and ready," John added from the tactical station. "Shields at maximum." Alan nodded. "Take us in. Maximum speed. Aim for the center of their formation." Several crew members exchanged surprised glances. Charging directly into the middle of an enemy fleet went against all conventional tactics. "Sir," John said carefully, "that puts us in firing range of their entire fleet at once." "Exactly," Alan replied. "They won't expect it, and I want every Vraxian ship to see us arrive." The Retribution accelerated toward the heart of the enemy formation. Its dark hull gleamed in the light of distant stars as it approached the battlefield. On the Vraxian command ship, alarms blared as officers scrambled to respond to the unexpected approach. "The human vessel is heading straight for our center line," an officer reported with disbelief. Admiral Vrex stared at the tactical display. "What madness is this? Are they suicidal?" He paused, then smiled cruelly. "No matter. All ships, target the human vessel. Destroy it." As the Retribution closed in, the entire Vraxian fleet began to turn their weapons toward it. The battlefield, which had been filled with the constant fire of bombardment, gradually fell silent as hundreds of alien guns took aim at the single human ship. Inside the resistance base, Kayla and the other Illydians watched in amazement. "They've stopped firing at us," someone whispered. "But why would one ship come against so many?" another asked. Kayla remembered her conversations with the humans months ago. "Because that's what humans do," she said softly. "They never give up, even when the odds seem impossible." On the Retribution, Alan stood tall as his ship approached weapons range. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Broadcast on all frequencies, including the resistance base." "Channel open, sir," Patricia confirmed. Alan spoke clearly and confidently. "This is Captain Alan Howard of the Human Systems Ship Retribution. Vraxian forces, you are attacking innocent civilians and violating the sovereign territory of the Illydian people. In the name of Earth and the principles of justice, I order you to cease your attack and withdraw immediately." Admiral Vrex's laughter came through the communication system. One ship gives orders to 200. Your species is more foolish than I thought. What do you hope to accomplish here, human? I'm giving you one chance to leave peacefully, Alan replied calmly. And if we refuse? Vrex asked mockingly. Then we will be forced to remove you. The Vraxian admiral's voice hardened. Your arrogance ends now. All ships, open fire. At his command, 200 Vraxian warships fired simultaneously at the Retribution. Space lit up as energy weapons converged on the human vessel. Evasive maneuvers, Alan ordered. Activate defensive systems. Samantha's hands flew over her controls and the ship began to move in an unpredictable pattern. Many of the enemy shots missed entirely. Those that hit were absorbed by the ship's revolutionary armor. Minimal damage, reported the damage control officer. Our armor is holding. Now it's our turn, Alan said. Target their command ship, fire main railgun. The Retribution's primary weapon discharged with tremendous force. The solid projectile crossed space in an instant and struck the Vraxian flagship's bridge. The alien vessel's shields failed completely as the projectile tore through multiple decks. Direct hit, John announced. Their command section is heavily damaged. Launch missile spread, pattern Delta, Alan ordered. Target their main battle, group. Dozens of missiles shot from the human ship, each one finding its mark with perfect accuracy. Instead of exploding, they attached to the hulls of Vraxian ships and released electromagnetic pulses that disabled systems across the enemy fleet. Within minutes, 20 Vraxian ships drifted powerless in space. Admiral Vrex, bleeding from a wound, on his face roared in fury. How is this possible? Their weapons are primitive. They can't defeat our technology. Sir, his tactical officer responded, voice shaking. Their projectile weapons are bypassing our shields completely, and our energy weapons seem ineffective against their hull. Impossible, Vrex snarled. All remaining ships concentrate fire. I want that human vessel destroyed. As the battle continued, the Retribution moved with surprising speed and agility for its size. Each shot from its weapons found a mark, while most enemy fire either missed or caused minimal damage. In the Resistance base, the Elydians watched, in amazement as the single human ship fought against overwhelming odds and appeared to be winning. It's incredible, Kayla whispered. They're actually driving the Vraxians back. On the Retribution's bridge, Alan studied the tactical display with satisfaction. They're breaking formation, he noted. Push forward, target their engine systems. Another volley of missiles launched from the human ship, disabling more of the enemy fleet. The remaining Vraxian vessels began to pull back, their tight formation collapsing into disorder. Sir, Patricia called out, we're receiving a transmission from the Resistance base. Kayla's face appeared on the screen, her eyes wide with hope and disbelief. Captain Howard, is that really you? Alan smiled. It's us, Kayla. Earth keeps its promises. We're here to help. But how? She asked. How is one ship defeating their entire fleet? Sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage, Alan replied. And humans have always been good at finding unconventional solutions to difficult problems. As they spoke, sensors showed the remaining Vraxian ships pulling farther away, retreating from the battle they had been winning just an hour before. The battlefield that had been filled with the sounds and lights of war now fell silent, as humanity's warships stood triumphant among the disabled Vraxian vessels. For the first time since the war began, the stars of the Solara system shone in peace. News of the battle at Solara spread quickly across the galaxy. The story seemed impossible. A single human warship had defeated 200 Vraxian vessels. Worlds that had lived in fear of the Vraxian Empire began to hope again. Resistance groups on occupied planets grew bolder. The balance of power was shifting. 3 weeks after the battle, Captain Alan Howard stood on the observation deck of the HSS Retribution, looking out at the rebuilt Elydian capital city. The clean white buildings gleamed in the sunlight. In the central square, a statue was being built, the shape of a human ship rising from stone. Quite an honor, Dr. Olivia Martinez said as she joined him at the window. They're calling you the savior of their world, Alan shook his head. We all did this together. The entire crew. True, Olivia agreed. But they need heroes, symbols, to believe in. She looked down at her datapad. The repairs are almost complete. We'll be ready to launch again in 2 days. After the battle at Solara, the Retribution had led a coalition of ships from various worlds to liberate the Elydian homeworld. The fighting had been fierce, but the Vraxians were now in retreat across the sector. Any word from Earth? Alan asked. Yes, actually. That's why I came to find you. Olivia handed him the datapad. We've received new orders. Alan read the message with surprise. They want us back home? But we're just starting to push the Vraxians back. Read the rest, Olivia urged. Alan scrolled down, his eyes widened. The message showed images of massive ships under construction in Earth orbit. Not 1 but 10 vessels like the Retribution were being built. They used what we learned from our battles to improve the designs, Olivia explained. The President wants you to lead the new fleet. Alan felt a mix of pride and responsibility. What had started as a desperate mission with 1 ship would soon become a proper fleet. Humanity was fully committing to the defense of their allies. Later that day, Alan met with Kayla and the Elydian Leadership Council in their newly restored meeting hall. The room was filled with light from tall windows. Around the table sat representatives from 12 different worlds, all of them recently freed from Vraxian control. The Galactic Council has been reformed, Kayla announced. Without the Vraxian influence, we are returning to our principles of peace and cooperation. She looked at Alan with respect. And we wish for Earth to take a permanent seat on the Council. A tall, blue-skinned alien stood up. My people, the Azurians, have lived under Vraxian rule for 20 years. In 1 month, humans accomplished what we thought was impossible. He bowed deeply to Alan. We offer our full support to Earth and its fleet. One by one, the other representatives made similar pledges. What had begun as a single mission was becoming a galactic alliance. Alan accepted their thanks with humility. Earth did not enter this conflict seeking power or control, he said. We came because we saw injustice and could not stand by. That will always be our way. That evening, a celebration was held in the city's central garden. Aliens of many species mingled with the crew of the Retribution. Music played, and the air was filled with a sense of hope that had been missing for too long. Lieutenant Eric Powell found himself talking with Zari, the refugee they had rescued weeks ago. She had joined the crew as a science advisor and proved invaluable during the liberation campaign. What will you do now? Eric asked her. Will you stay on your homeworld? Zari looked up at the stars. Actually, I've requested permission to remain with your ship. There is much I can teach you about galactic navigation, and much I want to learn from humans. She smiled. Your species fascinates me. Across the garden, Tactical Officer John Nichols was showing a group of Elydian defense officers the principles behind Earth's weapons systems. The key is thinking differently, he explained. For centuries, your people focused on energy weapons and forgot the power of physical projectiles. Sometimes the old ways still work best. Near the garden's edge, Samantha Green sat with Kayla, sharing stories of their home planets. Earth sounds beautiful, Kayla said wistfully. I hope to see it someday. You will, Samantha promised. The first diplomatic exchange is already being planned. Earth is eager to learn from the Elydians. As the celebration continued, Alan stepped away for a moment of quiet. He looked up at the night sky where the Retribution orbited, its dark hull barely visible against the stars. A sense of pride filled him. The ship had more than proved itself. Dr. Martinez joined him, holding 2 glasses of Elydian fruit wine. She handed one to Alan. To unexpected success, she said, raising her glass. Alan smiled and lifted his own. And to the future. As they drank, Alan's communication device beeped. He checked the message and his expression grew serious. What is it? Olivia asked. Intelligence from the border regions, Alan replied. The Vraxians are regrouping. They've called in ships from their home systems. They're not giving up. How many ships? 500 at least. Olivia considered this. Even with our advantages, the Retribution can't fight that many alone. We won't be alone for long, Alan reminded her. Earth's fleet will be ready soon, and now we have allies. He looked back at the celebration, where humans and aliens talked and laughed together. This is just the beginning. The next morning, the crew prepared to return to Earth. As they boarded their shuttles, crowds of Elydians gathered to see them off. Children waved and sang songs about the human ship that had saved their world. Kayla embraced Alan before he boarded. We will never forget what Earth has done for us, she said. When you return with your fleet, the Elydians will stand with you. Alan nodded. This isn't goodbye, it's just until next time. As the Retribution broke orbit and set course for Earth, Alan stood on the bridge looking at his crew. They had left home as explorers forced to become warriors. They would return as heroes, but their mission was far from over. Send a message. To Earth, he told Patricia. Tell them we're coming home, but not for long. The real work is just beginning. The ship accelerated to faster than light speed, leaving a trail of stars in its wake. In the darkness of space, the legend of humanity's warship continued to grow. Across the galaxy, people looked to the stars with a new question. What would the humans do next? On distant Vraxian worlds, leaders gathered in anger and fear. They had underestimated these newcomers once. They would not make that mistake again. The war was not over. But for the first time, the future looked bright for the free worlds of the galaxy. And at the center of this new hope stood humanity. Newcomers to the stars who had changed everything with one ship and the courage to use it.